Hello and welcome to episode 4. This episode featured Erica. Now, I'm not Erica, um, interviewee. Uh, now, most of my community on here might not know what Heels is, so do a quick introduction on that first, and then we'll get into the actual interview. So I joined Heels about 4 months ago, maybe, that's a guess. But it's a lovely, welcoming, all women's community. We talk wrestling, real life, everything in between. It's a lovely, lovely supportive place. And you can sign up. I'll put the link below. You can sign up for £50 a year, $50 a year.
Yeah.
Land apartment. Yeah, so sign up, which is a really, really good deal. When you think about it, we have Zooms, we have so many things that go on. We had pre-sale codes for the UK, pre-sale codes for America, pre-sale codes for pretty much everywhere. So you just make sure that you join all of that fun stuff. But with that, let's get into the actual interview because that is why we are here today. Okay, Erica, tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from? We'll start with where are you from?
Okay. I am from Indiana, actually Lafayette, Indiana, the same as Ruby Soho. We're from the same place. So, here in the US.
Okay. Now start on a little bit of a wrestling topic. When did you become a wrestling fan and what's your earliest memory of watching wrestling?
I'm actually pretty new to the wrestling community. I would say it started back in 2017. My husband had been watching New Japan and I saw Kenny and the Young Bucks. And I started watching one of their matches and I was just kind of hooked from there.
Yeah, what a great way to start with Kenny and the Bucks.
Yeah.
Little did they know what they go on to do.
I know.
Okay. So straight away we are diving into a little bit of your story. So what has your experience been with the body dysmorphia and eating disorder?
With me, it started at a really young age. I would say 9 years old. I remember just being told by family members that I was too fat and I was being put on all kinds of different diets. This was in the 90s. So every fad diet under the sun, I was being put on it because there was obviously something wrong with me because I was too heavy. And that because that was such a young age, that is something that stuck with me through adulthood. Being told that over and over as a child just carries over. And I was always afraid to tell someone I had an eating disorder because I wasn't thin. I was overweight. And I didn't think anyone would believe me. But I did. I have suffered with binge eating disorder. So I would binge and then I would starve myself for periods of time, and it was just a vicious cycle. And even when at my worst, I was eating like a cup of vegetable broth a day, and that was it. And I did lose a lot of weight because I was starving myself. But with the body dysmorphia, I saw no difference in the mirror. I had lost 100 pounds and didn't see a difference at all.
It must be quite conflicting having both because you've got one for the eating disorder telling you one thing and the dysmorphia is telling you another thing at the same time. So it must be quite conflicting there.
Yeah, it's a battle in the mind constantly, for sure.
So when did you first notice it was quite young, so when you first noticed it?
Yeah. When I first noticed like my body dysmorphia or when I noticed I had an eating disorder? or both?
Both.
Both. Okay. I would say I didn't realize I had body dysmorphia until I was my mid to late 20s. I didn't realize that was what was happening, because I would have people telling me one thing. Like when I did lose 100 pounds, people were like, "Oh, you look great. You look fantastic." And I didn't see it. And that's when I realized there was something wrong, because I saw the numbers move on the scale and I wasn't seeing it in the mirror. And that's when I realized that I'm really just seeing myself wrong. And the eating disorder, I didn't realize it until around that time that that's what I was doing to myself. When I was in that super restrictive phase, um, I was living abroad at that point when that was happening, and when I had moved back to the U.S., um, that's when I just kind of it hit me. I realized what I was doing. That I had an eating disorder, and that I really needed to seek out some help for it.
Who did you go to in terms of getting help with the various eating disorder and body dysmorphia?
Shortly after I came back to the US, I started seeing a therapist. She is fantastic, and I still see her to this day. I've been seeing her for a little over 11 years now. And she is who I brought it up with first. I told her, I was like, you know, I told her about the body dysmorphia first. I didn't bring up the eating disorder until I had made a friend here who also had an eating disorder. And she was very open about what she went through. And that, I guess, kind of gave me the courage and the push to bring that up with my therapist that, hey, this is something that I am dealing with. And what can I do to get help? And we looked together, and there's actually an eating disorder clinic here where I live. And she helped me get an appointment in there to work with one of their nutritionists there. And then it was between the nutritionist at the clinic and sessions with my therapists.
Okay. So linking all of this to sort of a wrestling perspective,
Mm-hmm.
not just with the heel side of things, but in general, how has the wrestling community sort of affected those feelings? Has it been a positive way, a negative way, a little bit of both?
I would say it's a little bit of both. In the heels community, there's so much support there, and I love that. But when I'm like watching on TV, um, I see all of these girls in great shape and all of these women, they just look fantastic. And that makes things come up a little bit like, oh, why don't I look like that? And it makes me kind of fall back into old ways of thinking. Um, but also, um, I like the AEW has, that they have curvy women on the roster. There's Willow and there's Nyla, and they don't stick to just like, you have to look a certain way. And I think that's a very positive thing that they do. Um, the other thing that comes up is when I go to a live show, um, it is always hanging over my head, and I'm not sure why, but there's always this stereotype of what wrestling fans are like. Um, there's always like, oh, wrestling fans are always just overweight rednecks and things like that. And I I have this feeling like I'm just perpetuating a stereotype because I'm bigger, and that's not true. Wrestling fans come in all sizes and shapes and everything. But I do have to fight that out of my head every once in a while if I go to a live show.
It must be quite a difficult thing to deal with, especially if you're dealing with it on a daily basis, like when you're not going to shows as well, when you're dealing with it.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that there's more diversity with the women and wrestlers. In general, like different sizes. Not everybody has to be in one shape, and I think that that's really being shown recently.
Yeah, I agree.
So on your like bad periods, bad days, how do you manage? Is there any coping techniques that you have, or any when you have to calm yourself down, kind of thing?
Yes. I have positive affirmations written on my mirror with dry erase markers. The biggest one is weight does not equal value. That is a big one that I hang on to because I did tie my self-worth to my weight and my body. So I keep that there so that I see it every day, multiple times a day. It's there to remind me. And then I I have to remind myself that there is no good food and there is no bad food. There is just food. And it is there to fuel your body. And food doesn't have a morality to it. And I find myself reminding myself of that quite often. And because I'll try to guilt myself about eating something that I think I shouldn't, but it's not true. Food doesn't have a morality. It's just food.
So on the contrary side of that, when you're having a bad period, how do you try and manage that? Obviously, it's quite difficult to try and struggle with it. How do you find a way to get through the day?
How do I find a way to get through the day? Um, well, I try to look at tangible things to remind myself of where I am. Like looking at pictures isn't good because of the body dysmorphia, but I have currently been on a weight loss journey for my health and to keep myself from like spiraling into an eating disorder or thinking poorly. I look at things like how are my clothes fitting, not the numbers, um, not what I see in the mirror, but tangible things like that. Or one of my biggest victories was when I would get in the car, the steering wheel would rub on my belly. It doesn't do that anymore. And that's something tangible that I can see to help kind of keep me grounded and remind myself of where I actually am um, on the times that I have trouble seeing it.
Okay. Moving on to a slightly more positive thing here. What messages or pieces of advice would you give to someone who's in a similar situation or position to you?
Um, I would say don't be afraid to reach out for help. You might think it's not a big deal, but if it's affecting you, it's a big deal and you deserve to get help for it. Um, and find that person that's going to help keep you accountable. For me, it's my husband. Maybe it's your best friend or your mom, but find someone, let them know what's going on and have them there that you can talk to or that they can help, give you some of those reminders when you're struggling.
Is there any social media that people can find you at? Give you a follow and all of that fun stuff?
Sure. My Twitter is Mavis_Sweets, Mavis_SWEETS. I'm not super active on there. And most of the things are either going to be about wrestling or drag queens, to be quite honest. Um, but yeah, that's probably the best place to find me.
All right, now I'm going to end this how I always end this. So one of the main factors to take away from this, take away anything, is that you're not alone. I just mentioned in all of the previous episodes, I will have a bunch of resources down in the comment, or not in the comment, in the description box. And I will also put on a little bit of a slideshow towards the end of this, which has helpline numbers, telephone, absolutely anything that you possibly need. I will try and link it down below. And if you want to take part in the discussions that we are having, I'm trying to break some barriers and get people talking about this. Like all of my social media is open, and if you're an AEW Heels member, then my message is open as well. So yeah, with that, thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for taking part, Erica.
Yeah.
And I will see you all for episode 5.